When faced with the challenge, what story are you telling yourself? And also, when faced with success and when you've achieved success, what story are you telling yourself? Let's discuss. Hi, it's Tantal, 4-time Australian memory champion, international best-selling author, and your memory coach. So today, we're going to talk about storytelling, right? What do you tell yourself when things are going good, and what do you tell yourself when things are going bad? All of that. Now, why is this important? Because what you say to yourself matters, right? Our language to ourself, our communication into our brain dictates what the outcome is going to be, right? Sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit of an anomaly, but most of the time, that's what happens. So what we want to be able to do is break that down, saying, why is it like this? And what can we do, right? Because that's important. The action's important. Watch all my videos, right? It's not about me or even the message. It's about the doing of the part, or doing the part, right? So go and do it. So here we go. If you're saying negative stuff into your brain, right? I won't be able to do this. Fearing rejection, fear of failure, all of that stuff, right? If you're saying all these stories about that into yourself, into your brain, right? What happens is that you withhold taking action, right? You withhold doing the thing that needs to get you there. Why do you withhold? Because there's a barrier. You're saying, I might fear this, and you're having all these conversations in the same time, whereas you could be doing the thing, right? That's why a lot of people procrastinate, because they're talking to themselves. They're saying all these, it's not all negative, but some people just negative, bringing themselves down. What if this person is going to say this? Or they're afraid to approach some other person because of what they might say, right? All of that. Now, the beauty is, right, is the future hasn't happened, right? Future hasn't happened. And instead of thinking of something that's negative, right, in the future, why not think of something that's positive? And a lot of people do this because they want to protect themselves, right? If they think of something positive and then a negative happens, oh no, I'm disappointed, right? So the negative's there to safeguard, right? It's almost, evolutionary, where we're, protecting ourselves from tigers and stuff, right? If I step outside, I might get eaten, so I might as well just stay inside. But here's the thing, we're not in that age, and we can essentially do the things that we set out to do, right, in that positive manner. So instead of saying, I'm afraid of what this person might be saying about me, just go and communicate with them and then see what's going on, right? Because what happens is that now, instead of worrying about the story, you're worrying about the action of doing things, right? That's another challenge altogether, because now, if you're someone who's got negative thoughts, you've got negative thoughts around that action, right? Around doing that thing, because if you do that, then it brings a fear of that, thing before. So I don't want to confuse you all, right? So positive stories, right? If you're able to think of a better scenario, the sun's hitting me, right? I'll have to move this. So if you're thinking of a better scenario, what you can do is think of you having to have a conversation, right? And it's going all smoothing, whatever. If you're fearing something, let's say public speaking, right? That's a big one. Now, instead of, oh no, what are people going to think of me? Instead of thinking about forgetting your lines, things like that, or not having an impact, you might want to visualize you actually having an impact, right? All these people smiling and, clapping and doing all those cool things. Right now, you can visualize a better future. Why do you think leaders have vision, right? Why do you think there's a vision for leaders? It's because leaders know there's a better outcome, and they're leading people to that outcome. That's what it is. So if you want to become a leader, you have to have a vision, and that vision is not negative, right? You're not leading people to their doom unless you're that type of person, right? Then you're a visionary as well, just not the kind that I would work with. But you need to be able to create a story. So getting back to our quote, when faced with a challenge, what story are you telling yourself, right? And when faced with success, what story are you telling yourself? So even with success, right, you don't want to be too egotistical, or you don't want to say, look, I'm the greatest thing ever, or whatever, because you could be fooling yourself. And also, you want to be a bit open-minded as well, open to criticism, open to learning. Right? And learning doesn't happen when things are all going right. Most of the time, it happens when we fail. Right? That's what we need to look at. We need to be able to say, okay, if I have a negative situation, right? How do I change the story? Or how do I even break the story and just do the action? And I don't know if you've heard of Mel Robbins. She's got the 5-second rule. And what the 5-second rule essentially does, it's very smart. It cuts through the storytelling, right? All the stories and stuff you make up in your head, because the deeper you get into the storytelling, the more you procrastinate and not do the thing. So for example, let's say you want to get up early in the morning, right? Your alarm goes off, you're up, but you're in bed thinking, right? Oh, it's so comfortable, I don't want to get up, blah, blah, blah. And you're feeding that story, you're feeding it. Next thing you know, you're back to sleep again, right? Unless you've got one of those snooze. I never use snooze, but my wife does. If you don't have a snooze, you'll just sleep in. But if you're thinking about it, and suddenly all you have to do with this 5-second rule is go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bam, get up, right? That cuts through the self-talk, and now you can actually do the thing that you need to do, which is get up. You've already done it, right? So that's the 5-second rule. That cuts through the storytelling. So you can cut through storytelling. That would help. Or you can feed a better story, right? So in this situation, you could say, you know what, I really want to make a really awesome breakfast, or can't wait for that first coffee, or I need to actually get stuff done, and you start visualizing the work that needs to be done ASAP, right? Things that help you to get up, not things that help you to, say if you're dreaming about having an awesome day, all that sort of stuff. You might actually fall back asleep, right? So you want to actually visualize stuff that, should have to get up and do this, right? That's how you do it, right? Getting back to the success again, if you reach relative success, you have to think about, okay, the stories we talked about being egotistical, whatever, have I actually learned something from this? Again, asking that question as well. What am I taking away from this as well? What can I give back to the world? So you see the questions that I'm giving is a bit more of a positive spin as well. So instead of being on me, it's about, outward, so not inward. So if you've got positive stories, how can I go out with them as well? Also with the success, it's generally an outcome, right? So what happens, let's say you won a memory competition, right? The story there obviously is not going to be that you won. The story will be about how hard you've trained, possibly. It could also be about all the little techniques you've done, all the things you haven't done as well. Like I'm coaching someone for the memory competition now, and I essentially advise them to just take a break, go on a holiday, because it's not always about training, it's about looking after your mental state as well. So things like that, what you've done and what you haven't done, because you want a repeat of this success, right? So you look at things that have worked for you and you analyze, right? So again, what does that mean in terms of storytelling, right? What have I done, right, to get to this success? What else can I do to maintain this success? So as you can see, it's a lot of questioning, because questions give you answers. Right? And the more questions you ask, the more answers you're going to get. But even better, if you ask better questions, you'll get better answers. Right? Sometimes it's not coming from you. Sometimes it's coming from coaches like me, or having friends, family. Sometimes it's not good talking to them as well. So that's why the coaches are a lot better. But there you go. So there's stuff you can do when you tell yourself, when there's failure, or there's essentially stories that lead to failure, and there's stuff where you have achieved success, but you can also learn from it and grow, even though From success, there's, I won't say there's not much growing. There's always growing with everything. You know what I mean? It's more about learning from both situations and keeping that mind in check, because you don't always have to have stories in your mind. You can just go do the action. And then once you've done the action, then you get the feedback. And a lot of people are not doing that because they're afraid, right? They're telling that story of, oh no, what if I do this? What if this happens, right? My video skills are not fantastic, right? I don't know if if you do, comment down, that'll be great to hear. But I don't worry about, video editing and making it look good, whatever, because I'm just focused on my message, right? My message is the most important. That's why I make these videos. Like I said, I'm not focused on super duper video editing skills, all that sort of stuff. I used to be back when I first started, but I'm close to 300 videos essentially, and I've learned over time to not worry about that and worry more about my message, because that's why I believe I'm here to pass on these messages. And I'm always learning and growing as well, and I'll share that with you. So thank you so much, and hopefully you're all doing well. I've still got spots for that 12-week memory coaching program. So if you're interested, you can apply below and we'll have a chat and see how it goes. So thank you all. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.